Yes, people, and we're back with another episode of On the Judy, and today we've got a Londonist branched out. I've forgotten about London, Mr. 600 games plus, Bradley Johnson. Thank you for coming on, man.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
What was life like growing up? Obviously, you've left London, and now you're you're from the Midlands, I'd say. What was life growing up in London or in East?
That was good. I had a good childhood growing up, obviously, with a dream of becoming a footballer. That's all I knew when I was growing up on my estate in Hackney, Nightingale Estate, going out on the decks, playing football with everyone, as you do. And when you grow up in the States, that's all you do. With your friends, wake up in the morning, obviously go to school, but as soon as you get home from school, go down to the cage and just play football until you get called in by your mum or dad from the flats. But growing up, good childhood. Grew up in Hackney. Then moved to Leighton when I was 11, 12. And then started secondary school in Leighton, and the same. But before I got into football about 10.
Okay.
I was in a thing called the Imps, a motorbike display team. I don't know if many of you know. Yeah, it was like like a community thing in Hackney where Roy Pratt, his name was. He started this thing up for kids from estates to have something to do on a weekend.
Decent.
And my brother joined it when he was probably about 11, 12. So growing up and seeing my older brother going and watch him ride a motorbike, do stunts on motorbikes, that's all I wanted to do from 5 years old. So growing up there, I had aspirations of being my brother. So I used to walk around with his helmet on. When I was on my push bike, I used to do all stunts on my push bike. And my mum and dad were like, "Oh, you got to be in the Imps." So at 5 years old, they put me in the Imps, which is crazy now. I've got kids myself now, and I think I would never ever send my 5-year-old to go on a Saturday and go on motorbikes.
Was it like what? Because it's dangerous.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Like, we used to train at down at the Docklands. So our training facility was just literally a big concrete area with tires, like the Formula One tires, round, stopping us from dropping into the River Thames.
Mad.
So we used to do all the performances there, but then on a Saturday we'd do shows. We'd travel the country. We went on tour to Canada. We went Nova Scotia, Singapore. We done the Edinburgh Tattoo. Like, it was a really good thing. And Roy Pratt, he's been in there for years, and I think he got made MBE by the Queen because of what he done in the community. He had kids from 5 to 16 in the team. So I joined that from 5 till 9, and I think at 9 I was still obviously playing football as well in between that, but at 9 years old I had to make a choice. 9 or 10 I had to make a choice because the two clashed. So it was either go training with them on a Saturday and miss out playing with my local team in Interwood, or give that up and go and play for Interwood. And at 10 years old I chose to go and play for Interwood.
You're kind of lucky because, sorry to cut you, you're kind of lucky because you got to see the world as a youngster. Like, going to Singapore. Not many people can say they went to Singapore. Even in a football team, not many people can say they've been to Asia and stuff. So, yeah, shout out.
It was good. It was, especially coming, not giving a hard knock story, but especially coming from where I come from, growing up on the estate in Nightingale, there weren't many kids who, like you said, got out of leaving the estate and stuff. And me and my brother were going to Norfolk one weekend, Edinburgh the next weekend to perform with the team. And we were lucky in that sense. My mum and dad worked hard to obviously provide that for us. We were lucky to venture out then. And it was just at that stage I had to make a decision. It was motorbikes or football. My brother stayed into the team until he was 18.
Decent.
And I chose football.
So when you moved to Leighton, like, I work in Waltham Forest now, so I know the borough is quite active. If people know what that means. How did you stop yourself from getting involved in that sort of lifestyle?
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. I moved to Leighton, and I had 1 year in primary school. So I went there in year 6, and obviously you get new friends, and from there. But at that time, when I moved to secondary school, I just got signed for Arsenal.
Okay.
So that was my distraction from my friends were hanging around on the street. I was always training at Arsenal.
Yeah.
So it was hard because as a kid you just want to be with your friends. I lived on Lee Ridge Road, but I went to Kelmscott School after that, which was backed onto Boundary Estate and
Okay, yeah.
Thomas Gamble Park, and all my friends lived there. So sometimes in school, you bunk a lesson and we're going to Thomas Gamble Park and just chilling out. And
Yeah.
then we moved over. Obviously, there's an estate across the road called Beaumont Estate. So I had the distraction of being at Arsenal. So I was training like 2 evenings a week, going down to the JVC Centre and training, and then playing on the weekend. So I was with my friends when I could be, but like at that young age, my dream was to become a footballer, and I was driven on doing that. So it wasn't really distracting me. There was times where I wanted to go out with my friends, and they were saying, "Oh, we're going to go to the park," and I was like, "No, I've got training tonight. I can't come."
Better.
So it was hard, but I think the worst thing for me was when I got released. I was there till I was 15, and in this time I was in my secondary school, and I wasn't an angel in school. I didn't really like school, so every time I got in trouble, I wouldn't really care. I'd just say to the teachers, "I'm going to play football," so I don't really care. Which, looking back now, is not the right thing to say,
Yeah.
but that's how I was. I was a kid with a dream, and I believed in myself. So at school, I found it not hard, but I had my like challenges in school with teachers and stuff because the way I was, and like I wasn't allowed to play for my PE team. I wasn't allowed to play football at my school, and the teachers didn't like that.
What, because of Arsenal?
Because of Arsenal, yeah.
Okay.
So it come to a stage where I go back, like I was getting in trouble at school, and instead of the school calling my parents, my mum and dad, they'd call Arsenal.
Okay.
And try and get me in trouble at Arsenal, so I weren't playing at Arsenal. So I remember my PE teacher was on the phone to Roy Massey. He was a head of recruitment at Arsenal all the time. And at one point, Arsenal, not even the school, Arsenal put me on report. So I had to come in school with a report, tick all the lessons I went to, get it signed, how I was, my behaviour in the lesson, and then at training go and give it to Roy Massey. And that's how bad it come, because the school were on to Arsenal so much. And I felt that there were times where I didn't play on the weekends because I was misbehaving in school. And then I'd come in on Monday and the PE teacher would be like, "How you didn't play on the weekend?"
Wow.
So like that. So it was hard in school, but being at Arsenal in school, I was like the main boy in school, like of my friends. There was me, a kid called James Walker, who played for Charlton, and they were a year younger than me, and Fabrice Mwamba went to school.
Oh, you went to school, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
so there was us three who were like the golden childs of Kelmscott, we played football. But there come a time where at Arsenal they were handed out the YTSs and I didn't get one at 15.
Do you reckon that was because of how you were in school or your ability?
No, I don't think it was. At 15, I was tiny.
Okay.
I was so small, and back then it was a big thing in football, like your height, athleticism. I don't think it is much as now, but back then I remember I was the smallest in my year. I was the smallest at Arsenal. I found it hard. And I think at 15 they were bringing my dad in and my brother, because my dad said he's got an older brother, he's going to have a growth spurt. They brought in my brother to have a look at him and see if I can grow. Yeah, that's how it was. So I was tiny. I didn't have a growth spurt till I was about 17. So I got released because maybe I was too small. Maybe I weren't good enough. Okay. Maybe I weren't. There was some good players in my year group. But it was when I got released, then it was hard for me at school because I got released from Arsenal. I went trialling at Charlton, Watford, but by that time they'd already given out their YTSs and had their kids. So like that rejection hurt me. And I remember going into school again, going back to school, secondary school, and I felt like everyone was laughing at me, like because of the way I was through to year 7, 8, and 9. I don't care about school. I'm going to be a footballer. And then it just stopped. They released me, and then I was just in no man's land. I went back to school, and I thought everyone was laughing at me, and then I just rebelled against that. And then I think by that time the school had enough of me anyway, by the way I was behaving. And like the next time I got in trouble, they just had enough of me and just excluded me. I got kicked out of school in year 9. Yeah, so that was hard. And I felt it was a snowball effect. I felt me getting released from Arsenal led me to misbehave more and then get kicked out of school.
Yeah.
And then after that, when I got released, I tried to go back to my Sunday League team, Mintlewood. And even then I went back there, and the expectation for me going back there was like, "Oh, Bradley's coming back.
You've got to run through the whole team."
Yeah, he's gonna be good. And then a touch on my size, I was tiny, and growing up in East London, going back to my Sunday league team where it's rough and ready. At 15, I was tiny, so I found that hard. And everyone thought I'll be going back there and I'll be the Bradley Johnson that I was when I left, and I weren't. I went back there, I found it hard, it was physical, didn't like it, and that hurt me as well, that rejection, that I felt I wasn't good enough. So for about 2 years, I just lost interest in football.
So you see, when you're playing with your Sunday league team, like obviously they know you, they're expecting you to be that guy, and you're not. Are they like calling you shit or like not passing to you? Are they doing them sort of things, or it just
not so much calling me shit, but just the expect. When I left Arsenal, I was a goal scorer. I played up front.
Okay.
No one would believe it. And I played up front. I scored like 40, 50 goals a season. I was score for fun at Inwood. And when I went to Arsenal, they put me back more. I played left wing, centre midfield. At academies, you have to play different positions. But where I was at Inwood, I was a striker and I'd score. Like our team in Inwood was a joke. Like we had me, Colin Kazim Richards was playing centre midfield. Then we had a kid, Anton Smith, who was good. He was at Palace as a youngster. Charlie Daniels. Our team was good. And so going back there from 10, where I was a main man, I was going to score all these goals, to going back there and being a left winger or a centre midfielder and not scoring these goals, finding it hard physically. And it was just, they weren't calling me shit and not passing to me. It was just like, for me, in myself, I could tell that they were like looking at me thinking, he ain't that good. How was he at Arsenal for 5 years? So, that hurt. And I sort of lost interest in football for 2 years. So.
What was you getting up to?
No good. But getting kicked out. So I got kicked out of school. My dad enrolled me in Waltham Forest College. I've done a sports science thing there with Tony Linton and Steve. Went there and trained and stuff. But other than that, when I weren't going to college, there was about 3 of us who got kicked out of school at the same time.
Yeah.
And we'd just go to each other's houses on the day and just chill, go back to our school at lunchtime, see everyone, go back there at 3:30, you know how it was, go back there at 3:30 and just meet with our friends and not doing nothing really.
That's so mad, because I bunked school a lot. Like where I lived, there was a school that I used to like cause trouble at. And then now you said that, I know a guy who got kicked out in like year 7, year 8, and he used to turn up at his school every morning, every after school, get on a school bus. Now I'm thinking like, that's mad. Like, how have you not lived your life? Like,
I don't know why it was. Just because they're your friends. You're with them all day at school, every single day, apart from the weekends, obviously. So, I used to, when I didn't have college, like you said, I used to wake up at 8 o'clock and go on the bus and go to my school and meet my friends there who got kicked out as well. And then when our friends are going to school, we'd just go around to one of their house, chill, play PlayStation, come back at lunchtime, go and eat lunch with them, then leave, and then come back at 3:30 and then leave, and then go on the estate, go around like to Thomas Camille Park and just chill, and then do the same every day. And then obviously I was going to college some days, but wasn't really taking it serious. And then just ended up, I was 15, 16 there, and just being on the streets with my friends. And I sort of enjoyed it because I felt that's where I was loved. I got that love again.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was growing up in school, 7, 8, I had that love. And then getting kicked out of Arsenal, getting released from Arsenal, then kicked out of school, it was like, oh, where am I getting that from? And I got that from my friends on the estate, just being with them and hanging around with them and getting up to no good, really.
Seems like you just needed to be accepted. Like Arsenal accepted you, and then they released you, and now you kind of like lost your purpose. Seems like. So like, school's done now. You've got to pick like sort of like a career path. What you're going to do at college? Like, what sort of things did you get? What did you actually study at college?
So I done that at Waltham Forest for a year, the sports science thing, but didn't really like get any grade for it or anything. So I done that for a year, and then it was a time where my dad was like, "What are you going to do now?" And all my family, my dad, my brother, my dad's friends, they're all tradesmen. And my dad said to me, "Why don't you go and get a trade?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, he's like, "What are you interested in?" I was like, "I don't know." So my dad sort of like gave me a few options, and I said, "I'll do carpentry." And I enrolled in college in Lewisham. I went Deptford Bridge College.
Bit of a trek, no?
Yeah, it was a trek. So, and going back to being on the streets with my friends, that going to Lewisham every day for me was sort of not dangerous, but I was going through like
Different
estates to get there. And it was, for me, going there by myself at 16, I was getting on the DL, I was getting on the overground from Leighton to Stratford, then DLR from Stratford all the way to Deptford Bridge, and then go in there. So, yeah, I've done that for maybe about 6 months. But it was apprenticeships where you go to college 3 times a week and then you work 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And I never found work. So I think there's only me and one other kid on the course. I know, I never find it easy. Another kid on the course who didn't have a job. So then we would have to go to a job centre, job finders centre in Greenwich, next to the Millennium Dome.
The college is making you go to Greenwich?
Greenwich.
So you're going from Leighton to Greenwich?
Yeah, so sit there and just be on the phone trying to call up companies. I'm Bradley Johnson, I'm apprenticeship in carpentry. Have you got any work for me? And I've done that for about 4 months. And again, being 16, going there, I didn't ever want to go there. So sometimes I wouldn't even turn up. And so I've done that for maybe 6 months. But when I weren't obviously working, I was just back in Leighton with my friends, just chilling.
And the thing is, like you're in a class, let's say 30, 28 of them are going to college the same as you, but they're working. And making money, and you're not.
Yeah, I was getting EMA money. That was my
30 quid.
Yeah, £30 a week. So and that was hard as well. Seeing them kids, like you say, getting work, and I'm sitting there getting up at 6:30 in the morning, getting the DLR, getting 2 trains there, going through some rough estates to get there, and it was tough. But I'd done that for like 6 months, and then it was I was still playing football at the time. I was playing for, when we were 16. I don't know if you know Wolverhampton Forest.
Yeah.
I was there. Like Interwood joined up with them.
Okay, yeah.
And but Wolverhampton Forest went into like a sort of like an academy thing with Barking Abbey.
Okay, yeah.
And the kids in my age group from Interwood, the kids who stayed on, they went to the college, but you had to get GCSEs to get into the college. Okay. I didn't do my GCSEs. Yeah. I've got 1 grade. So, but the guy there, the coach, Dave Muir, said, look, you can't come to the college where the team were training every day with each other. He said, you can't come to the college because you ain't got the qualifications, but you can train with us on the evening, like a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Yeah.
So I was going to college during the day, coming back, and then when I could be bothered on a Tuesday and Thursday, I'd go and train. Like there was some nights where I'd come back from college tired, and I'd just see my friends out and just go and hang out with them, and I wouldn't go training. So I was still doing that, and sort of like I started doing what they were playing on a Saturday and started doing well, and they would join up with obviously Wolverhampton Forest, the first team, Barking Abbey, and then Wolverhampton Forest, and the first team manager saw me and like sort of liked me in training. So the days where I weren't training with the kids at Barking Abbey, sometimes I was training with the first team.
Oh, decent.
So I got in like that. But then, going back to hanging around on the roads with my friends, I got obviously caught up in the wrong stuff, doing the wrong. I won't say I was ever in a gang. We were just friends from the estate.
Yeah.
And no, it's worse now. But got caught up in our estate on Catworth Street, and I ended up getting rushed, and I got stabbed in my legs. And
you got caught slipping and got stabbed?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So it was silly because we all knew each other. So from the estate where I'm from, there was another estate, I'm not going to say who they were, but another estate who we were just fighting over nothing. We didn't know what we were fighting for.
That's the thing. Like the people, like even like now, the people that people are beefing, it's people they went to school with.
Yeah.
Like you know people's mums and stuff like that.
There was a kid who come our school, Kelmscott, and he come from another estate, and then someone didn't like him, and then he went and got his friends from his estate, and then that's how it all started with us. But then, when you go up to, we from Boundary, we sort of like moved to Beaumont Estate and got with the elders there and started hanging around there. And then you just get in, like I said, now these kids who are fighting for postcode, what are they fighting for? Is they don't know what they're fighting for.
Like, see, now, like what you just said, you went from Boundary to Beaumont. I don't think that could ever happen now. I think it's if you see someone from that estate,
it's sad because it's only one road that separates them.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. So, yeah, it is. And obviously the estate that obviously they were fighting with at the time, the same. It's literally a 5 minutes walk down the road. But because you're from a different estate, that's what the kids are fighting for now. But yeah, it was that I got caught then and got stabbed in my legs because they knew who I was and because they knew I played football. They targeted my legs.
Okay.
And it was hard for me. I said I weren't ever in a gang, and I wasn't ever about that. like there was times, I'd be on the estate and there'd be fights happening and stuff, but I'd never say I was in a gang. People call them us gangs now, but we were just friends from an estate, and like they were their friends from another estate. And so that happened when I was 16. And I think for me, it was like a wake-up call. I remember being in the hospital. So I went to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 days after the operation.
Was it that bad, yeah?
Yeah, so it was bad. It was in the side of my leg, so maybe it was a big knife. They had to operate on my leg. And I just remember being in the hospital bed and my mum and my dad sitting there, and then my nan coming up, everyone crying their eyes out. And I was thinking, obviously police were there asking me what happened, and I'm not giving a big and saying I didn't snitch, but I was scared.
Yeah.
Because I knew who it was. They knew who I was. We all knew where each other lived.
Yeah.
I was just scared, so I didn't say nothing. I didn't know who it was. My granddad was going mad, tell him who it is. You know who it is. Like, my mum and dad knew I knew who it was. And I was like, no, I'm not saying nothing. I knew after that day, I knew that was me. I'm going to take football serious now.
Yeah, okay.
And you go back to the estate and you think all your friends are like, oh, right, what we're going to do now? Are we going to retaliate? You're going to get them back and stuff like that? And I was like, nah, like, that's me done now. And I think here as well, I always talk to young kids who get released from clubs and everything, and they're like, oh, what would you do? What would you advise us to do? Like now, like if we really want to try out football, I say, and I always say to them, like, choose your friends wisely, because I grew up in an estate with a lot of friends, and then who I thought were my friends and thought loved me and everything, and then when I got stabbed, I was at home for 2 weeks. Not one of my friends come to see me. It's crazy, like it's a cheesy story, but the two people who come to visit me was my best friend Darren, who I speak to now still, and the girl who I was linking at the time. And it's mad that girl now is my wife with my 3 kids.
Better.
So when that was a wake up call for me, I thought, oh, these are my friends, these are my boys, and then I was at home. Couldn't get out of bed, and not one of them come to visit me.
See, that's the same as like, because I come from a gang background as well. That's the same as like when someone goes jail, everyone's your friends when you're out. Or as soon as you go, only a few people check for you, send you money, go and go check your mum and your dad. It's like it's mad. But let's get into football. When you started playing men's football, how did you find it? Because obviously you said you were small when you had a little growth spurt at 17. Did you struggle, not technically, but the physical side of it?
Yeah, physical side, yeah. So I started back after obviously that incident happened. I got my head down and I stayed at Waltham Forest, and there's a guy there called Dave Muir who I speak highly of now because he gave me my chance. My dad spoke to him, and after the incident he said, oh, what's Bradley doing? And my dad said to him, oh, can you help him? And he said, oh, get him back fit, and like if he's taking it serious, we'll put him with the first team straight away. So I got back fit. It took me about 2 months to get back fit after the incident, and then got my head down and went back training with Waltham Forest, and then broke into the first team. Dave kept me there. He said, oh, I'm going to push you into the first team. Broke into the first team, and they was in the Ryman League at the time. And I remember playing my first game. I was so scared. As you said, I was 16 at the time there, still small.
Yeah.
And going into men's football, it was
got
hard.
A crowd. It's not a big crowd, but you got people you don't know.
I was playing in front of 30, 40, 50 people. But being so small, I was kind of quick when I was younger. You might not believe it now, but being that quick little, and I was playing on the wing, playing left wing, so I was getting kicked about, like, and there was times where. But for me, I learned a lot doing that. Like, I learned at 16, I learned that there's the time and place where you can dribble the ball, or you've got to pass it, otherwise you're getting kicked up in the air.
Yeah.
And obviously in that Ryman League, the men, they just look at you and they target you. You think, oh, you think you're a little superstar, we're going to show you. And they're literally just kicking me. But I learned so much from it because, as I said, I've always said this now to kids at clubs, like, who don't want to go out on loan and don't want to play, who just want to play in the youth team and then 23. I said, go out and play men's football.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best thing for you. And from there, I played a few games in the first team, and then Dave Mills sent me for a trial at Cambridge United.
Proper looked out for you, didn't it?
No, he did, yeah. And sent me there for a week with another boy who was in the academy thing, the Barking thing. And then I got invited back. So I went there for 1 week, got invited back for another week. And then Ricky Duncan, the coach at the time, was like, got my dad up and got Dave Muir up, and he said, "Oh, we want Bradley, but we can't offer him a contract, and but we can give you, like my dad, expenses for bringing him up."
What?
And,
So your dad's got to bring you up every day?
No, so he said we'll give you expenses bringing him up on a Sunday.
Okay.
But we'll put him in digs.
Okay,
So he'll be living with, and in Cambridge, they had one big house and the whole youth team, 16, 17, 18s, lived in one house and
Big
one
brother
woman
house
looked after us. Yeah, so, and as soon as he said that, my dad said to me, look, like, this is it, you're getting out of London, you're 16, like, you don't want to be around here. And I was like, no, I don't want to be around here either. So it wasn't even a case of, like, I was playing for nothing, playing for free. It was just having that chance, that opportunity. And then, so I done that. I moved up to Cambridge when I was 17.
So is this, they give you a pro or YTS?
No, they give him non-contract.
So you just train and play with everyone?
I was training and playing with the youth team. So,
was that like known throughout the team that you was on, or did you talk about it? Because everyone's secured and you're on a non-contract.
I don't think they spoke about it that much, because you got to remember they were 16, 17 and like, they've grown up from Cambridge, and I think their YTs, it was like £90-80 a week that they were getting. So I remember I felt part of it when I was giving in the receipts and they were giving me cash in hand, and I was like, oh, I've been paid like to the lads. But no, I don't think it was ever a big thing. Like, no one really knew. I was there, I was treated like them. Like, it was no different. So yeah, I done that when I was 17, lived up there, and again, that was a shock for me as well, going up there. It was
different
mad.
Environment, isn't it?
Yeah, going from, obviously, the estate I grew up from, going up there, Cambridge, it is quiet, posh, like all nice. And then even the kids, there weren't one kid from London, so there's no one I could relate to.
Yeah.
I went there and living in the house, and I've never ever lived with like kids or other people, obviously my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So was in one room, and where was like, that's your bed there, top bunk. And I was like, all right, setting my stuff out. I was like, don't touch my stuff. I was proper, and like, and obviously football banter, like,
people touch your stuff.
People do that, but I didn't get that. So I found it hard for the first few months getting used to living with 22 lads. And again, going to Cambridge, no one from London, no one to relate to. I looked different. My haircut was different. When I was younger, I used to have the slits in the eyebrows, and my hair was different. I talked different. I dressed different, and it was hard for me to not get accepted, but for the boys to take to me as well. Did
they were they intrigued that you was from London? They asked weird questions, because like, I live out in the sticks now, and when I'm talking to my teammates, like, does that really happen? And I'm like, yeah.
It was, when I went up there, I tried to not let everyone know where I come from or who I was. I just went up there and got my head down and done my business. And then I think it was about 4 months into being there that, I don't know how it got out, but one of the physio found out that I got stabbed. And then he told a player, then the player went back to, and I remember being in the house and everyone was coming up to me like, oh my God, you've been stabbed. I was like, yeah. And I didn't really want to talk about it. Like, obviously they watch movies, so they relate everything to, like you say, a movie that goes on in Leighton or in East London. Is like, so what's it like going up in your estate? Have you heard a gun? Is there shootings? Is there stabbings every day? And I was like, no, playing it down. I was like, no.
I've been asked by our teammate if Top Boy is real.
Yeah. So we get arguments. I still get that in football now. Like, physios come up to me like, oh, Top Boy, you watch Top Boy? Is that where you're from? I was like, just because I'm from London, don't mean I'm from everywhere.
I just brush off like, it is what it is, isn't it?
But yeah, I sort of, as you said, I tried to keep myself to myself for a while, and then that come out, and then they sort of not look at you differently, but it's weird, because it's like I gained respect from being stabbed, which I didn't really want to. I wanted to go there and be respected because I'm a good footballer.
Yeah.
So I found it hard for the first 3 months going there. As you said, it was a shock for me, living out of London, living with these boys, being totally different to everyone. And as you said, the banter in football I didn't get when I was 17. Going there and being told that I've got to sing and dance in front of the whole team on a Friday. And I was like, there's no chance I'm not doing that. Being told I've got to clean the toilet. My job is clean the toilets and clean boots. I was like, I ain't doing this. Like, it was just them little things, which I understand now.
Yeah.
They're all gone out of the game now. Like, these kids don't clean boots or anything now, which, you know, times have moved on. Like, you understand it. But for me, going there and the coach coming up. I remember the day they told me as well. And you know what it's like when I was like, I'm not doing it. All the boys were like, I bet you do. I bet you do. I was like, I'm not doing it. They're like, I bet you do. I bet you do. I'm like, no, I'm not. And I remember come to the Friday and had our lunch, gone back into the change room and everyone's in there. First team players as well in there. And I'm like, walked in, I'm like, why is everyone in there? And then they're like, come on, Brad, you're going to dance now. I was like, listen, I told you. And then I started getting angry. I was like, I told you I'm not dancing. And they was like, oh, come on, it's only a minute and sing. I was like, no. I said, I've come here to play football. I ain't come here to perform for you lot.
You're saying this at what, 17?
At 17.
Mad.
And but I think that sort of helped me in a way because the first team manager was there and he was like looking at me and he didn't take it as in, oh, he's been disrespectful. He felt that I was strong-minded. That if I had an opinion, I'd say it.
Yeah.
And that's how I was brought up as well. Growing up, I always felt that if I felt something was wrong, I'd always say it. And that's what has got me where I am today, I think. But yeah, the Friday was horrible. I was stood there and literally, it goes quiet in the rooms. Everyone's looking at me. I'm looking at the coach. And the coach is like, for a minute thinking, oh, he's going to do it. I'm like, Ricky, I'm not doing it.
Did you do it?
No, I'm not doing it. So then he was like, oh, Brad, come outside and talk to me. So then he pulled me outside. The lads got on with it or whatever. No, I did sing.
Yeah.
I didn't dance. I was standing there and dancing for a minute. But like he took me out and sort of explained it to me.
Okay.
Said, oh, Brad, look, this is something we do in football. I was like, I didn't know. He was like, yeah, this is something the boys do. It's like initiation to get you in with it. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought like it was just me. He's like, no, everyone's done it. And then he's like, oh, can you do it? Like the lads will like you for it. And I was like, the lads like me anyway, so I don't need to sing. And he's like, no, it's just something we do in football. And I was like, all right then, fair enough. Give me a week and I'll get a song.
Better.
And so I done it the following week.
What did you sing?
I sang Usher. What did I sing? 7 o'clock on the dot.
Okay.
And again, they were like, what song's this? Like the boys from Cambridge, you know what I mean? They didn't know them songs. But yeah, I done it a week after. And sort of like I had to adapt really I had to get rid of this. I didn't have an attitude. And that's what I see. And now in football, coaches and people higher up think kids have got attitudes. It's not attitudes. It's just the way you've been brought up.
Yeah.
So I had to get rid of this sort of like attitude. I had to buy into the way they do it rather than where I've been growing up. And like I said, banter-wise, like I've gone up there and in football now, it's crazy that young age, everyone was talking about each other's mums and dads. Like in school, if anyone spoke about your mum, you're fighting. So I went up there and people were like, oh, your mum's this, your mum's that. I'm like, you gonna let him talk to you like that? And they're like, I'm like, nah, if someone says that to me, like we're fighting. And that's it. So I had to adapt to it. And I've done that. And yeah. And I think that having that attitude where I went with the first team when I was young. So 17, I was only there for 6 months, but I broke into the first team. And then when I got into the first team, I was obviously with that attitude where I was hungry and I didn't care who you were. If we're going in for a tackle, I'm going to smash it. I don't care what first team player. And I thought the French manager there, Hervé Renard, sort of liked that about me. And the first team players like that as well. Because I've been in, I'm a first team player now where young lads come up and I will smash one of the star players and everyone's like, or the manager will be like, what are you doing? Calm down. Like, but when I went into the first team, it was just, I just saw you as a opposition player who's standing in my way. And, you know, I trained hard. I trained how I played. And I think he liked that in me, and he brought me into the first team a lot more, and he gave me my debut at Cambridge.
It wasn't like an easy season because you got relegated. Like the team got relegated. Was it like? Was there tension in the change room, like at the training ground and stuff like that?
Maybe, but for me, I didn't see that because I'd never been in that environment before. I was just there training, trying to play, and I was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
As you said, I wasn't getting paid or nothing, but I was just happy to be there, being in and around the first team environment, going to league matches, just traveling on the bus, making teas for the first team players, not even getting on the bench. Like, I was happy being there, doing that. And so I didn't really see that. It was only towards the end where relegation was confirmed that I saw how hard it hit players and staff, like people were losing their jobs and stuff like that. So that's when I realised how big a thing it was. But then, yeah, because I was on a non-contract, they got relegated. I could just leave for free.
Yeah.
So I remember the last month of the season, Ricky Duncan, the coach there, like, who I got a lot of respect for as well, I don't know if he's there now. He won't get in trouble for this anyway. But Southend and Northampton wanted me, and he come up and told me. I was like, all right then. Like,
Was that off the back of the one appearance or?
No, like playing youth team games, and they know that I'm out of contract, so they know they can get me for free, and I've not got a contract there. So they wanted me to go. Southend wanted me to go and train with them for a week. And then Ricky Duncan was like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to go." He's like, "I don't know how we're gonna get around it." He's like, "All right, what I'll do is go home this weekend, call up sick on Sunday, and say you're ill for a week, and then go there for a week and train with them."
Yeah.
So done that. My dad took me to Southend every day, training with them. Went there for a week. Then the following week, I come back and he was like, "Northampton, when you go up there for a week, we do the same." So I've done that. Went to Northampton, done that. And then they both offered me contracts. And then this was 17, 18 now. And like this was when I was getting paid now. So like they were money, like Southend offered me more money than Northampton. Like it was £250. And I was like, fucking, I was like buzzing, I've made it. Rare. So but Southend offered me more money, but I'd had to live at home in London.
And you didn't want to. Yeah.
And then obviously I didn't want to go back there. I just spent 7 months like getting my head down, working hard. But then Northampton offered me a contract, but gave me a flat. And then my dad was like, "Well, you got Northampton."
No choice.
Yeah, no choice. I think Southend were in League One at the time, and Northampton were in League Two. But it weren't about what leagues or money. It was just like another opportunity for me to go get out of London and get my head down and play football, which I love doing. So yeah, I signed for the end of that season when Cambridge got relegated. I left for free and then signed for Northampton.
Did you, at this point, like when you're signing a contract, you're getting paid, do you think I'm a footballer now? 18 years old.
It was more...
Got your own flat.
Yeah. Having my own flat was like, wow, like not I've made it, but like this is what I want.
Yeah.
Like, and it was more my brother, really. He was more proud of me. He's like, "You just signed the first professional contract, you're getting paid." And I was like, it's not, I ain't done nothing yet. Like I've just signed the contract. I ain't played a game for them or anything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until like I went there, I didn't know if I signed a pro contract, but I didn't know if I was going there and I was going to be with the first team or I was going to be with a youth team or reserves or whatever. So it wasn't until I sort of made my debut and played and felt like I was a first team player. I went there, but still, I was still young. I was like 18 and I was with the first team every day. And obviously the kids in the youth team were the same age as me and they were looking at me like I'm a pro and I was looking at them thinking, I'm just the same as you.
Yeah,
like, I'm not any different.
Quite modest then, isn't it?
Yeah, I am modest. And my brother and my dad always said that about me, that I'm modest. Even now, like, you know, I've done, everyone says I've had a good career, but I just think I've done okay, I've done all right.
600 games is nothing.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Again, moving from Cambridge to Northampton, you're 18. New people, not to impress, but new people to get to know, another sort of new culture because different areas. How are you handling that? How are you handling yourself in the change room? Like, what are you like at 18 in a men's first team change room? Yeah,
again, I think the learning experiences I got from Cambridge helped me massively because I knew what I was going in for, really. Because being around the first team at Cambridge, I knew sort of what I was going in for. I knew how to get the banter a little bit. I knew if I had jobs, I didn't have a job because I was signed as a pro, but I knew if they wanted me to do a job, I knew that it was part and parcel of growing up in football. Yeah. So that experience at Cambridge helped me a lot. So I went there and I was just myself. And I think when I went to Northampton, there was a few more Londoners there, which helped me out a lot as well. But yeah, going there, I knew what I was going in for and I just enjoyed it. Just, you know, it was another opportunity to play league football and get my head down and work hard. And I found living by myself the hardest.
Okay.
Cooking for myself, I've never ever cooked before in my life.
And these are the times where like Deliveroo and all of that, you got to go to the shop and get a takeaway and stuff like that.
So it was hard. I was always on the phone to my mum, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? I'd go home every weekend, bring my washing home. I never done washing or anything like that. So it was hard living by myself. But you know, that I grew up so quick doing that. It was the best thing for me. Living by myself at 18. Having my own flat. Didn't have bills to pay though. Northampton paid the bills and stuff like that. But just living by myself and relying on myself. Whereas at Cambridge, I was in the house with 22 players. I was never late because they were always there wake up and stuff. Whereas when I lived by myself, I had to make sure I was up, going to training, getting there early, and like at night time, making sure I'm getting the right sleep and stuff like that.
Didn't you ever say to your missus, come up and live with me? Or
She was at uni at the time.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, she would spend 3 years at uni. She come and lived with me for my last 6 months at Northampton. But before then, yeah, she was at uni. But even from being at Northampton, I wasn't there. I had to go out on loan, so I went out on loan to Gravesend and Northfleet.
Okay.
And
how'd you find that?
Yeah, that was good, really good. As I said, I went to Northampton, signed, was with the first team, played maybe 1 or 2 games, and I found it hard. And then got interest from conference side to go out on loan. I didn't know the club, didn't know who Gravesend and Northfleet were, but it was a chance for me to play men's football. And my dad was always on at me about playing men's football. It don't matter who you're playing in front of. And I say this to kids now, it doesn't matter where you're playing, what level you're playing at, as long as you're playing men's football. And it don't matter if it's in front of 30 people or 30,000 people, like there could always be one person in that 30 people. And it happened to me, like at Cambridge, at Woolham Forest, that I was lucky enough that someone from Cambridge was there watching.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, she didn't move up till my last year in Northampton, but I think at that time I was 18, I didn't really want to be living with my girlfriend.
Fair. You see the loan, was it something you asked for, or was it like something you was told to do?
No, something at that time I was told, it was told. As I said there, I'd only been there about 3 or 4 months, and they come in for me, and obviously Colin Caldwell at the time come up to me, and my agent, my dad was like, these are coming for you. And then it was a case of, as I said, my dad's always said to me, if you can play.
Yeah.
And they come in for me, they wanted me, so always go somewhere where you're wanted. And I went down there, and again, that experience for me was unbelievable. Again, it really woke me up to how lucky, as I said, I'm very modest, so I didn't understand the position I was in then at Northampton. But when I went to Gravesend, it really woke me up and showed me the real world, because they were part-time. Some of them were full-time, some of them part-time.
Okay.
So I was training there full-time. So I was training there every day. So, but then again, I had come back and I lived at my mum and dad's in Leighton. And then I was traveling to Gravesend. So I was training there every time. But then half of the team were part-time. So they'd only train on a Tuesday evening and a Thursday evening, and then play on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And then what really like woke me up was, we're playing away on a Tuesday night, like say Halifax away or something, miles away, and getting on the coach after, and all like I'm at the back with a few like, mucking about, listening to music or watching TV, being loud, and you've got the lads nowhere of like bringing sleeping bags, sleeping on the middle aisle of the way you walk.
They got to go
going,
work.
shut up, because we've got work in the morning. I'm like, wow. And like, you don't realize that these players are playing to pay their mortgage and like supply for their family, and I'm there at Northampton like sitting, and that really made me realize how lucky I was in the position I am in, because there was people there playing for their livelihoods, and I was there on loan from a professional club, and just learning my trade. And
but you see that, you're still playing for your livelihood. Like, you've still got to make money. You've still got, obviously you're in a better position because you're at a pro club, but they're probably on a lot more money than you at that time as well. So
yeah. But then again, I'm on 18. They've got families, and you know what I mean. They're waking up. So we were playing obviously 8 o'clock kickoff, finished at 10. Halifax miles away. They're not getting back till 1, and they got to wake up at 6, 7 for work. And then even when we were training with them in the evenings, they're coming training, and like a few of the senior boys who are full time are digging into them in training, going, "Fucking come on!" And they're like, just done a 6-hour shit, shut the fuck, like, do you know what I mean? And it was like, it woke me up to realize I am in a good position. And if anything, it drove me on to not sound big-headed, but not ever be in that position, do you know what I mean? It drove me on to like say I'm lucky enough to be here now, but you know, I could easily just drop back there. So it pushed me on to,
I don't want to be like Joe Blogs.
Yeah.
So after the loans, new manager comes in, start playing every game. What are you thinking?
That was, it was good, because after that, I went on loan to Stevenage after that. And I went there for a month, done well. And we had a good team there. I think we had George Boyd, Nurse, Steve Morrison.
I used to work for Nursey.
Did you? Yeah. We had a good team there. And I went there for a month, loved it. And the manager Steve Tilson. Yeah, he wanted to buy me. So
What, Stevenage manager?
yeah, and I wanted to go there, like because I enjoyed playing with the boys. I was playing it week in, week out. I was only there for a month, and I wanted to go. So then I come back to Northampton. They got the new manager, who's Stuart Gray, and he was like, the club are getting bids from Stevenage, and the club are like, oh, we're going to accept it. And Stuart Gray said, well, if a club want you so bad, like, why are you not playing here? Let me have a look at you. So I trained for 2 days with Northampton. I had a chat with Stuart Gray. He was like, no, I want to have a look at you. Trained 2 days. And then on the Saturday, we had Tranmere away and he played me. And after the game, he said, you're not getting nowhere, you're staying. And I played every single game underneath him.
Decent. Leeds. Let's jump to Leeds. Why Leeds? Like, because when you signed, there were minus 15 in it.
Yeah.
Like, why?
If you drive into Leeds training ground and see and not even the training ground, just the history of Leeds, like a club like Leeds being interested in you. I didn't even think about the 15 points deductions or anything, or being in League One. When I went up there and saw the training ground and the stadium, and Dennis Wise being the manager, was a big draw. When I drove in that stadium, in the training ground in Wetherby, Thorpe Arch, it was...
Is it mad, yeah?
Oh, obviously, from where I've come from,
yeah.
Cambridge, Northampton, no disrespect to them, but this was a proper club. Take out what league they were in at the time and whatever was going on with the club. When you drove in that training ground, it was like a wow moment. You think, wow, this is it. I've made it. Like, this is where I want to be. And Dennis Wise, a Londoner himself, just sold the club to me. And there's a few Londoners there. We had Jermaine Beckford, Trezor Candor, I met them. And it was a no-brainer for me at the time.
See, they bought you, right? Like, what are you thinking then? Like, someone's paying money. Like, you remember, you're modest. Yeah. Someone's paying money for you.
That's when it sunk in, really. As I said, I always go back to where I've come from and stuff like that. For someone to pay money for me, it was like, not, again, I'm modest, I'm going to say, I've made it. I've never, ever said that. But for someone to believe in me, to actually pay money for me, what I've been through from 15, getting released and starting again, going all the way through to the conference, going out on loans and stuff. And for someone to pay money for me, it was a surreal, like, pinch yourself moment. And not so much of, I've made it, but this is, I'm a footballer now. Yeah. This is it.
Someone told me to ask you, how did you feel when Delph, how old was he? 18 when he took your shirt, basically, and you couldn't get in.
I know. You know what? Everyone makes a big deal out of it because I had to go out on loan. But me and Delph, I still speak to him now. We were like best friends. I lived with him at Leeds. And it was I don't know why it got made a big thing. I think the manager at the time, Gary McAllister, come out and said, Bradley's not happy because Delph's come in and took his shirt. And so that's why I went out on loan. But it weren't. It was hard, but it's football. And it's opinions. Gary McAllister at the time preferred playing him ahead of me. And yeah, rightly so. He was unbelievable. He was the best at that time, the best youngster I've seen come through.
Okay.
And again, for me, I weren't going to sit there because I said before, my dad always said, go out and play. I wasn't going to sit there and not play when I knew clubs were interested in me and I could go out and play. So I asked to go out on loan. I said, look, to Gary McAllister, I said, I'm not going to play. Fab's got my shirt. Can I go out on loan? He was like, if it's right. And I was like, no, I want to go out on loan. So I went out on loan, played 10 games for Brighton, scored 5 goals, done well.
Not bad.
And then come back and he'd left, got the sack. And then played a few games that season with Delph. I played on the left, he played centre midfield. And he got sold at the end of that season. And
you got back in?
Yeah, and then I got back in. Come back, Sam and Grayson come in and come back in, played every game underneath him and got promoted to the Championship.
You see that, yeah? Because when he come in, they were buying players and you got players on big money and stuff like that, but you're still playing ahead of him. Are you thinking, like, you're not getting my shirt? Like, this is my life?
That was not the main reason I left, but that was a big factor of why I left Leeds, because I was playing week in, week out. I was coming to the end of my contract, playing week in, week out. You said they were buying players, putting them on. And again, for me, it's not about the money, but it's just about feeling part and being on parity with what everyone else is. If you're playing every week, you need to be paid like you're playing every week. Do you know what I mean? So they were bringing in players, and obviously I was in front of them. They couldn't get my shirt off me. I was coming to the end of my contract. It was time to negotiate a new contract. And I just said, I want to be what this kid's earning. I want to be on more or the same as what this kid's earning. And then Ken Bates was like, nope. Yeah, he's been an arsehole about it. He's like, no. And then I was like, he's like, this is what we're offering you. And I was like, well, I'm not signing it. And yeah, it got ugly at least towards the end with me and the chairman.
Yeah.
But then I thought the fans sort of towards the end understood. You know, I remember we played Crystal Palace at home, and in his program notes, he'd come out and hammered me, the chairman, saying, I'm being greedy, I'm doing this, all I want is more money and stuff. And I wouldn't, stitch me up, and all the fans, I come off injured and all the fans were booing me. I was saying he's greedy and stuff like that. Then I come out and said my part, and then the fans sort of understood. And I always said that I want to play here, but it's got to be right for me and my family. And Ken Bates was not having it. And then towards the end, Leeds fans were like, sign him up. And I wanted to stay there. But, you know, and then at the end of that, I saw out my contract. And even Simon Grayson was wanting me to sign. And I was like, Gaffer, he was like, I can't do nothing. It's Ken Bates. But then again, Ken Bates threatened me with, if you don't sign this, we're going to put you on a transfer list. And I was like, said to the manager, well, he's saying that. And he was like, look, if you're doing well, I'm going to play you. My job is to do the best for Leeds. I'm the manager, I've got to do the best for Leeds. So I got put on a transfer list and he still played me. So I got a lot of respect for Simon Grayson for doing that. And then towards the end of the season, Norwich come in for me, Premier League. And
got to go, innit?
Yeah, I got to go, yeah.
I see at that point, what's the conversation you're having with your dad? Like, Dad, I've done it. I'm in the Prem.
No, not really. Again, when I signed for Leeds, I never made it at Leeds until I played. So when I signed for Norwich, I never done anything until I played.
Yeah.
I was like that the day before my debut. I remember it. I was so nervous. I didn't phone. The only person I phoned was my dad. So I remember, obviously, you do the team the day before. I'd done the team. We were playing Stoke. The first game of the season, I didn't play. Wigan away. And then the first game of the season, we played, the home game, we played Stoke. And I was in the team. I remember literally as soon as the team sheet went up, like when we were doing practice on a Friday and I was in it, I was like, oh my God, I'm making my Premier League debut tomorrow. And then done training, ran in from training, got showered, got in the car, phoned my dad, like, Dad, I'm playing tomorrow. And then he was buzzing, my brother. Didn't phone no one because I didn't want everyone phoning me saying, oh, get me tickets and stuff like that. So I just told my dad. And I remember waking up the morning, driving in, and we were playing Stoke as well. And at this time in the Premier League, 2000, and Stoke were huge giants. So I remember being in the tunnel.
It's like Rory the Lap times, yeah?
Rory the Lap, and Zonzi, all them big boys. And so not so much when I signed for Norwich that I was like that, but when I played my first game, I was like, right, this is it now. Like I played in the and then it was only 2 games after that I scored my first Premier League goal, and again that's a real moment for me.
No, that makes sense. Like the way you say it has how you don't brag until you've actually played a game, because you got a lot of young pros now haven't played a first team game but on big money, and they walk around like I'm the big I am. Not to diss Norwich, there are a club that tends to go down quickly, but when you was there, you stayed mid-table, finished mid-table for like 2 seasons straight. What was the secret?
First season was the manager, Paul Lambert. He was crazy. Like he was literally, a manager was like, if they score 4 goals, we were scoring 5. And we began away to Man City, and he's like, it's a myth. They're just 11 players. You're better than them. And
is this money Man City or?
This is, Torres, Silvers, Agueros.
Okay,
we got Man City where he's like, it's a myth. You're better than them. And we were like, Gaffer, I don't think we are. But like, he gave you that belief. And I'm sitting here saying it's easy. Like we were going into games like Man U away, Arsenal away, and thinking we can win, we've got a chance. And then obviously at home, when you're playing like the lesser teams in the league, he gave us that belief, and we just went and we were fit. We just blew teams away. And it was good that first year where he was so attacking. The fans loved it. The players loved it. Even the players who weren't playing, like Lambert had a thing with like how his management skills was. He was really good with the whole team. And the first year was exciting. And then the second year, we signed Chris Hughton. And I think he was good. I played every single game underneath Chris Hughton. I liked him. But I think what was hard for him was because he's more of a defensive manager, whereas going from Paul Lambert to Chris Hughton, the fans didn't really like it that much. So he found it hard. But then we finished mid-table with Chris Hughton. So he gets jobs done, and everywhere he's been promoted. Like, I know he might be having a hard time at Forest now, but he's been promoted at every club he's been. But I think going from the exciting football to what we were playing, where we were going to Man City away and not caring if we concede 5 because we're going to try and score 6, would never happen. But whereas like Chris Hughton will be going there and like we're not conceding more than 3 and setting up like that. So,
Okay.
but yeah, no, the 3 seasons we had in the Prem, we done well. I enjoyed it.
How did you deal with, like, you yourself? How did you deal with the relegation? Like, because that, I'm guessing it affects your money as well. Like, you're back, you're not playing at the top level. How did you deal with it?
Yeah, it was tough to take. Being in the Premier League, and as I said, when I made my debut, thinking this is where I want to be now, and it was hard to take. I wanted to stay in the Premier League. I had opportunities to stay in the Premier League and leave Norwich, but I didn't. But again, the changing room we had, the lads we had were good lads, and we stuck together, and we said every player that stayed that year had been in League One, League Two, and worked their way up. So I go back to Paul Lambert. When I signed for him, I said, "Are you signing anyone else?" And he said to me, "You won't know anyone that I signed." He's like, "I'm not signing all these players who have been there, done it. I want young, hungry players like yourself." So that's why we done well as well, because that whole team in the first year in the Prem had never played in the Prem. So we were getting in, like, buzzing about it, like everyone wanted to stay there. So getting relegated was hard, but most of the lads who got relegated with us had been in the Championship.
Okay,
so we knew what it was like. And we knew it was going to be hard. It's easy sitting here and saying, "Oh, we knew we were going to get promoted," because we didn't. But yeah, it was hard. Again, it affects everybody. You say it affects everyone. That status of being a Premier League footballer gets taken away from you, and you're back in the Championship. And but no, we believed we were going to go back up, and we done that, lucky enough. But then I left.
You see that, yeah? I know you I think you said it outside, you didn't want to leave, but getting bought for 6 mil isn't, coming from Leighton and being worth 6 mil isn't nothing to.
And again, being worth that, and then a club breaking their transfer record for you.
Yeah,
it was again a surreal moment for me, and like a proud moment for my family.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, where I come from, to be bought for that amount of money, it was like, and being their transfer record. But then that come with a lot of weight. The expectation that Derby fans had of me, coming off the season I had with Norwich, best season I've had in my life.
Yeah.
Scoring 15 goals, getting player of the year, getting promoted, and then going into a Derby team who didn't play the way Norwich played, had several managers with different ideas. Like, I found it not hard, because football it's not easy, but I was used to the Championship. But we played a certain way at Norwich which suited me. Where I went to Derby with the price tag, £6 million, and I'm going to get them promoted. And they played a total different way to Norwich. But yeah, being bought for that amount of money was like surreal.
You see that, yeah? When you finally lift up the Derby shirt and all of that, are your friends from young, like, say the boys that weren't around, are they coming back trying to holler at you and stuff like that?
Way before that.
Yeah?
From when I was made it in the Premier League.
Oh yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, so it was a thing. Even so, when I was in the Premier League, my mum and dad, they don't live in Leighton anymore, but they did. So when I go home, and I'd literally just want to go home and see my mum and dad, and go out, see my family close. But then obviously where I lived, I had to drive through the estate and stuff, and everyone, I'd stop, and look, they're my friends. I grew up with them. I'm not going to be like, "Oh, I don't know you no more." But it was always a case of, "Oh, you don't check for me no more." And it's not that I don't check for you, it's just that I've grown up.
Yeah.
Like, I've grown, and this is what I want to do now. Like, I'm playing football. And yeah, it was more when I was in the Premier League. But then, whenever I played London, I'd get the calls, and I'd always sort them out tickets.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends come to every London game when I was at Norwich. I had the most tickets for. And there was about 30, 40 people coming to the games. Yeah, so, and then obviously cup finals, I've been in playoff finals, and everyone wants to come out to them. But yeah, it's something I'm used to now. I don't, like you said, I don't hold any grudges for my friends, because I grew up with them. I still call them my friends, but I just went in another direction. Yeah.
How did you deal with Lampard? Because obviously you growing up, you're watching it, you're playing same time as him. He's Chelsea winning Champions Leagues and that. Now he's your manager. Are you gassed?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So I remember being away pre-season and getting a call that he's our manager. And I was like, nah, you're bantering. And then it got confirmed, and I was like, I was buzzing. I was on holiday and I couldn't wait to go back in pre-season. And then I remember going back in pre-season, and obviously I played against him before and stuff like that. And he's one of the best midfielders the Premier League have ever had. And being a midfielder myself, you always look up to midfielders like him. Scholes and Gerrard were the three players in the Premier League that I looked up to. And going in and him greeting you at the door and knowing you're like, he's calling me by my name. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, Frank Lampard, like he knows me. And then obviously playing for him and stuff. It was good. But then again, I think sort of where I'm an older pro, that wore off within like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a footballer. He's my manager. He's not Frank Lampard anymore. Like for me, like over the 2 weeks he was Frank Lampard, and everyone would be like, "Oh, what's Frank Lampard like?" And I was like, "He's just my manager." Right? So yeah, it was good playing underneath him, and he knew the game inside out. Man, he was good tactically.
Yeah. You kind of fell out of him, innit?
Yeah, well, yeah, I had a falling out. I got banned. I think it was my own doing anyway. I got banned for biting. Yeah, I got done 5 games. I remember.
Wait. Why did you bite him?
Why? I don't know. It was just immediately happened on the pitch. Handbags. I got put in a headlock, Joe Allen, and he was strong, had me down. I couldn't get out of it, and my fighting instinct just kicked in, and I couldn't punch him or anything, and his neck was near my mouth, and I didn't actually bite him, but his shirt was in my mouth, so I kind of like was gritting my teeth and squeezing and come out, and the camera caught me with his shirt in my mouth. But I got done for 5 games for that, and then obviously when you're banned in football or you're not available for selection, you sort of like get put on the back burner, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be a part of this team for 5 games, so I don't expect you to concentrate on me. But then I come back from my ban, and I wasn't in the squad for the first 2 weeks, and then I thought, acceptable, like that's punishment. Like I'll get on with it. I'll just train, get my head down. And then we played Southampton in the FA Cup, and I thought, oh, it's FA Cup, I'm going to play. But then they play youngsters, like 19-year-olds, and put them on the bench, and I wasn't even on the bench. So then it was like 3 weeks after my ban that I didn't say anything. I just got my head down, and I was thinking, like, have I done something like wrong now? And I was like, 3 weeks is enough. I was like, no, I'm not having this now. I'm going to go and see the gaffer. So I went and seen him, and pulled him in his office. I was like, gaffer, what's going on? And it was like, oh, your standards in training ain't been good. And I was like, well, like, what? I'm not a mind reader. You should have told me.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I don't think they were. I have to agree to disagree. And he was like, no, your standards in training have been dropped since you've come back from your ban. I was like, well, like, I'm not a mind reader. You should have told me. And after that conversation, he like took responsibility as well. He said, like, I should have pulled you. And
fair play to him.
Yeah, fair. He did say, oh, I should have pulled that conversation. Me and you had it. Really helped me. And yeah, I said to him, okay, I'll get my head down and work hard in training. Done that. And then 2 weeks later, I was back in the team, Ipswich away, and I played every single game underneath him after that.
Decent.
So I think for him, he was still learning on the job. It was his first job. And me now, I've done my coaching badges as well, and I know that don't matter what you've done in your playing career, coaching or managing it's a total different thing.
Yeah.
It don't matter who you are. And he'd say he learned a lot that season at Derby, and we done well as well to get to the playoff final.
Yeah. Now you're at Blackburn, being a senior player. Do you find like the youngsters coming up to you asking you advice, or do you like vice versa? Do you go up to them and say, "Do this"?
I think I go up to them. I think I've always been good with the young lads, because obviously the way I come up through football and I had to work hard. I've always tried to keep the young lads like level-headed and grounded, and I've got a good relationship every club I've been at with the young lads.
Yeah.
And it's surreal for me now. I don't feel old, but I am old in football. I'm 34 years old. I'm the oldest at our club. Don't feel it. But yeah, when like last year we had like Harvey Elliott, who come from Liverpool, and he was like unbelievable. But he'd always listen to me. He'd come up to me and ask me questions as well. And
Better.
I feel not like privileged, but I feel like I get respected by the young lads for what I've done in the game. Like you said there, I don't really see, oh yeah, I've played 600 and plus games. I don't really see that as like a big thing now, because I'm still playing. Maybe when I finish, I'll look back at it and say, but like for the little kids, like the young kids, they look up and think, oh my God, he played 600 games. So they come up to me and talk. And I said, I'm open. I'm always happy to help these young kids, man.
So you mentioned coaching. Is that what you're looking to get into when you're finally hang them up?
Yeah, I think football's all I know, really.
Okay.
And I think when my last year at Derby, I started doing the under 15s and under 12s and enjoyed it. I think I'll go into coaching, but start at the young kids, because I feel now in nowadays in football, I think it's not even the coaching is not even the hardest part. I think it's just being a good person, like a mentor, like a teacher. And I think I've seen it with so many kids. Like kids nowadays are just expected to come up and turn up and train and play to their best ability, but not many people ask the questions of what's going on behind the scenes, like and kids getting 4 buses to get to training, they turn up late, and the coach is like, "Why are you late?" But they don't know why. Like, do you know what I mean? And like at Derby, there was a few kids there who I had to sit down and talk to. I was like, "What's happening?" He's like, "Oh, my mum's works. He's got a younger brother. I have to pick up from school, take him home, feed him, and I've got to come to training. I live in Nottingham. It's half an hour away, and I'm getting late." And I'm like, "All right, you have to understand these kids." And I think I can relate to most of the kids like this.
Yeah.
And but again, coaching wise, when I was coaching the 12s and 15s, the difference, like I enjoyed with the 12s. I'd walk in the changing room, I'd be like, "All right, boys," and they'd be like, "John, how are you doing?" Like that. Then I'll go into the 15s and 16s, I'll be, "All right, boys," and like, or they're on their phones.
Yeah.
They don't want to be like the teacher's pet or pet up to me. But I think I learned a lot in that year coaching. I think, as I said, it's something, it's all I know of football, and I want to stay in it, really.
Nah, decent. Nah, Bradley, 600 games later. Thank you for coming on, man. Thank you for sharing.
No problem. Anytime.
Quick fire round. Favorite player?
Ian Wright.
That's different. Most skillful player you faced?
David Silva.
Favorite pre-match meal?
I'll get hammered for this. I have 1 slice of toast, beans and a poached egg, and then porridge Nutella with a slice of toast with Nutella on it.
That's what you had before a game, yeah?
I've had that for 15 years.
Biggest adrenaline rush you've had in football?
Winning the playoff final
Better.
at Wembley.
Better. What's your superstition before a game?
I do my left side before my right.
Yeah?
Like everything. So I put my left sock on, put my left shin pad on, put my left boot on, then put my right sock on, right shin pad, right boot. Mad.
Worst trainer but best on a match day?
Grant Holt.
Most embarrassing moment?
In football? In a match?
Or in football?
It's an embarrassing moment. Sunderland away. Getting Megs on the halfway line by Sessignon. And then he went and stuck in the top bins.
Oh.
It got replayed on Premier League for about 4 months, man.
What's your go-to initiation song?
Only Fools and Horses.
I don't even know that one.
You don't know it?
Not really my type of show. Any regrets?
None.
None?
None.
Thank you for coming on, man.
No problem.